About the reaction to Kim Jong-il and his death.
Of course, Libération's gone for a nice pun on their front page this morning. They've got La Corée du Mort as opposed to La Corée du Nord. That is to say, Korea of death, though someone standing on a portrait of Kim Jong-il on that front page. Inside in their editorial, they say, while the North Korean regime gives us lots of opportunities to make some pretty good jokes, and, journalists have been enjoying that for years, it is nevertheless not really funny if we talk about the 2 million people, for example, they mention who died of famine in that country in the 90s, or the 200,000 people thought to be in prison camps from which people often never get out, torture is systematic, and the regime apparently detains 3 generations of a family for one person's crime. So they say, some of the atrocities being committed by that regime really are truly horrendous, and that's something we should bear in mind when talking about it. Le Figaro also has got this same story on their front page. They've got North Korea, the jump into the unknown as a headline, and their editorial says that we really have very little idea of what to expect from this new regime. We know little about Kim Jong-un as an individual, and the West doesn't really know how to react, but they should hope that this might open the way to new diplomatic negotiations, because while on the one hand Kim Jong-un might want to assert his authority by ratcheting up military tension with the South, on the other hand, the food crisis in the country is so bad, he might decide that in the hope of getting some financial aid from abroad, he'll actually try and make a rapprochement.
Now, Le Monde, they've pulled out the most significant issue, really, over this story. They're more interested in Kim Jong-il's crimes against fashion.
Yes, their style writers obviously weren't listening to Libération's admonitions not to laugh about this. They're having a look at dictators' style today, saying it's one thing that Mubarak, Ben Ali, Gaddafi and Kim Jong-il all had in common. Those marble palaces, everything covered in gold, ostentation busts of themselves, the big jacuzzis. We've all seen the pictures. So why can't dictators be more chic, they're asking today. They talked to a man who's written a book on the subject, and he reckons that in order to sort of assert their authority over the populations and be taken seriously as supreme leaders, they feel they need all the accessories.
Excellent, fantastic stuff. Back here to France now. Corruption scandals, what a surprise, all over the French newspapers again.
It's Karachi again today, as reported in Le Parisien. This is because the former Interior Minister Brice Hortefeux had to give evidence yesterday over what he knew about that scandal to do with kickbacks paid on arms sales to Pakistan in the 1990s. This, of course, is also working its way into the election campaign. Le Monde is talking about this today because they've interviewed Arnaud Montebourg, the socialist politician who, of course, did extremely well on the left in the socialist primary back in October. He tells the paper that this kind of corruption scandal drives voters both on the left and the right towards the far-right National Front of Marine Le Pen, saying that both mainstream parties have embarrassed themselves with this kind of corruption scandal and they need to clean their act. And
finally, Elena's pulled out some other French front page news.
Yes, in L'Humanité, the communist paper, they're celebrating the release of I've forgotten his name, of Salah Hamouri, the Franco-Palestinian prisoner who was released yesterday as part of that prisoner swap that let Gilad Shalit go free. And over at Aujourd'hui en France, they've got some much more serious front page news. No dictators for them. They're talking about the soaring amount of oyster thefts just before Christmas. Oysters, of course, are a really key part of any French Christmas dinner. Apparently, the number of thefts from the oyster beds have doubled, and the farmers are taking all kinds of new high-tech measures, including underwater GPS systems that sense when they're being stolen. The police have got helicopters and horseback patrols to hunt down oyster bed thieves. So it's a problem that's being taken extremely seriously.
It wasn't me. I cannot stand oysters. I'll stick to my turkey. That's more my style. All right, Elena, thanks very much. That's Elena with the French newspapers on France 5. The headlines then, grief in North